Here's the dilemma. It's winter, you've got your sheep on pasture, so they need fed, but how much do you give them? This is Kathy from Family Farm Livestock, and that's what we're going to talk about today. You can see we're in a high spot here. The dark is the turnips, the ewe lambs ate. And what we're looking at is this is the leftover hay, actually haylage, from where we fed the ewe lambs last night. And you could look at this and call it wasted. We look at it a little bit differently. Since we have the ewe lambs out on pasture, and let's just say it, it's beautiful, beautiful weather. It is January 13th, and it feels like spring. So this is crazy nice. But we do not have the stockpile grass to completely feed the ewe lambs. So they need some supplemental hay. So how do we figure it out? Well, we put some out and we guess. It's really that simple. There is no scientific answer. When you see a little bit of hay left over, but it's mostly eaten, then you know that they got what they needed. If when you put the hay out, they zoom over and they stay till every last little bit's cleaned up, you need to put out some more hay. Circling back to the not wasted part, when the grass starts growing in the spring, it'll use the little bits of hay or haylage here as fuel to grow. So this is never wasted. And since we are feeding ewe lambs, if we were to push them or get their feed exactly to where they needed it, it's likely that we're going to be underfeeding them a touch. And we want them to be growing, and the rams are in. So hopefully they're going to be breeding to lamb at a year. All of that requires energy. Now is not the time to skimp. So this amount of hay sitting here is actually perfect. It means they had the option and they felt they had enough. And here's a little bit of the stockpiled grass. That the lambs can choose from. Obviously not a favorite, or they'd have eaten it already, but it's an option. Feeding the lambs or the ewes on really nice days like this, the biggest challenge is mud, because it's so sloppy out here. It's sloppy to get to the fields, but that's a trade-off, because on the really cold days when it's frozen, all the hay or haylage you put down stays on top of the ground, and that's awesome, but you have to feed more because they're using more, because it takes more energy to stay warm. So either way, warmer days or colder days, you still have to see what they're doing, get your hands on them, kind of touch them over the backbone. That's the best way to tell how much fat they have. How are they holding up? Are they getting enough? That's how you decide. More, less, change it up. Look at your sheep, they'll tell you. So if you're hoping for a really specific scientific answer, I'm sorry, there isn't one. You have to guess and watch your sheep. On a nice warm day like this, oh gosh, it's like 45 degrees out. Super nice. A little bit of a breeze, it's beautiful. The sheep love this weather. So the ewes, the ewe lambs, they're not burning extra energy to stay warm like they would if it was, 5 degrees out. When it's really, really cold, you have to feed more than you might think because they're using a lot of that to stay warm. But when it's really nice out and they've got a little bit of extra pasture and they can choose, just make sure they have a little left over and you're good to go. Good luck.